everyone, this is Sara, and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the Chunky Ruffle scarf. It's the perfect scarf, whether you're just going to work in the morning, going out to lunch, going out to dinner, or going to a party in the evening. It's a great scarf. It's made out of chunky yarn, so it's warm, but it also has this gentle ruffle, so it adds a touch of glamour to any outfit. Now, this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. Now, the scarf measures about 63 inches long and approximately 3 inches across, and of course this is made with the chunky yarn. To make this scarf, you can use a chunky number 5, which is what I'm going to use today. You can use a chunky number 6, or you can use 2 strands of worsted weight number 4 held together. Either way, you're going to need about 5 ounces. You may have a little left over depending on how tightly that you stitch. But I'm going to be using, like I said, this Soft Essentials by Red Heart. It is a number 5. And it's going to look beautiful with this pattern. I love this pattern because you're getting a soft ruffle, not the tight ruffles you see sometimes. And it's a lovely scarf, but it's also warm because it's made with chunky yarn. We're going to be stitching today with our J hook. And the J is a J10, which is a 6.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to need a needle with a nice big eye for weaving in those ends at the beginning and the end. And of course, a pair of scissors. Now you can make this scarf as long as you want to or as short as you want to. I make mine just a little bit shorter because I'm short. But if you're taller or you just like a longer scarf, I'll explain to you how to make it longer. To make the Chunky Ruffle scarf, there are 2 options to start. You can either do 126 foundation double crochets, or you can start with a chain and then double crochet into those chains. I'm going to show you both options so that you can choose which one you like better. We're going to begin first with the foundation double crochet. We'll start with our slip knot. We'll chain 4. We're going to yarn over and go in this 4th chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, and pull up a loop. Yarn over and only go through the 1st loop. That's the chain that we made. Now we're going to yarn over and go through the next 2, yarn over and go through the last 2. And what we've done is we've made our chain and our double crochet. That's why it's called a foundation double crochet. Yarn over. We're going to go through the chain that we made first, or that first stitch, and do the same thing. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and only go through that 1st loop. There's the chain that we made. Yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. And this is the way the foundation double crochet is done. And the reason that I prefer the foundation double crochet is because it makes a nice stretchy edge. But if you don't care for doing the foundation double crochet, you can do the chains. Now you're going to need to chain 128 opposed to doing 126 foundation double crochets, and I'll show you how to do that option. If you prefer to do the chain and then stitch double crochets in the chain, you're going to need to do the slip knot, and then you'll need to chain 128 chains instead of 126. And I'm just going to do a few here and show you how to do it. I'm just going to do some here. Here's some chains, but you're going to need to chain 128. And the reason you chain 128 is the first 3 chains will count as your first double crochet, and then you'll stitch a double crochet in the 4th chain, and then you'll stitch 1 double crochet in each chain across. So you can do the foundation double crochet, or you can do the chain and then stitching double crochets in that chain. But like I said, make sure no matter which option you choose for row 1 that you have 126 double crochets. Here is my first row. I did 126 foundation double crochets. Now, if you want to make your scarf longer, you need to do 2 stitches for each inch. If you did the other option where you chained and then did your double crochets, you need to add 2 chains for each inch. So basically, 2 double crochets equal 1 inch. So you can add or subtract 2 chains or 2 stitches per inch for the size that you would like. Now you'll notice that I have a few paper clips. And what I do when I'm going to do a long chain or a long row of foundation stitches, I put paper clips this one we had 126. So I put a paper clip every 25 stitches. That way I didn't have to keep recounting. You can use safety pins or stitch markers, or just another piece of yarn if you want to. But I do this just because it helps me keep track of my stitches. Just something that you can do if it will help you. So now we've done as many double crochets as we want for our size. If you're following the pattern, that will be 126 double crochets or foundation double crochets. We're going to chain 3. I already did 1 chain, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn. Now for row 2, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the first double crochet, and then we're just going to chain 1. And then we'll repeat this all the way across. We're not skipping any stitches. We're basically putting a double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. Double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. And it doesn't matter which option you chose for your row 1. Row 2 and row 3 and row 4 are all stitched the same. So basically, 1 double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. 1 double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. And we'll do this all the way across our row. And you'll notice that it's going to give it just a little bit of flair. It's going to move it around just a little. And this is where we start with our gentle ruffle. So just to repeat, to make sure you understand, we're not skipping any stitches. We're just double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. Double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. And I'm really loving this yarn for this project because it is so soft. Now remember, you can use any color of yarn and any kind of yarn for this project. This pattern takes about an hour to make. So once you decide on your New Year's Eve party outfit, you could always make a scarf to match. Make it gold or silver. So we'll just continue across the row, stitching 1 double crochet, chain 1 in each double crochet across, and you'll end up with 126 double crochets with a chain 1 in between. I finished row 2, 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, and you can see the gentle starting to ruffle in row 2. So now we're going to chain 3 and turn. And basically row 3 is similar to row 2. What we'll do is we'll place a double crochet in the first double crochet, chain 1, and then we'll place a double crochet in that chain 1 space, and chain 1. It's called a chain 1 space because it's the hole that's left when we chained 1 on the previous row. Double crochet in the double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. And by stitching this pattern back and forth, it's going to give us that gentle ruffle. Just enough ruffle to make it glamorous, but not too much ruffle. So we'll continue this all across for row 3, double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1, double crochet in the next chain 1 space and chain 1, and we'll just repeat this across this row. And you can see it's beginning that gentle ruffle that we're looking for. All right, just to repeat, just to make sure that you know what I'm doing. 1 double crochet in the next double crochet and chain 1. Then 1 double crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. And we will repeat this across this row for row 3. I finished row 3. Turned out beautifully. So for row 4, we're going to chain 3, we're going to skip the next stitch, which in this case is a chain, and then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch, which is the double crochet. So we're going to chain 3 and slip stitch in the double crochet. We're skipping the chain 1s and making a nice little ruffle edge. Chain 3, skip the chain 1 space and slip stitch in the top of the double crochet. 2, 3, and this just gives it a nice little lacy or ruffle edge. And we'll do this all across. Chain 3, skip the next stitch, and slip stitch in the next. And it just works out to be chain 3, skip the chain 1 space, and slip stitch in the top of the double crochet. And you can see it gives it just a nice little edge along the edge of that ruffle to give it a nice finished look. And we'll do this all the way down the edge of the ruffle on our scarf. Chain 3 and slip stitch. Oh, if you're not sure what a slip stitch is, you put your hook through and pull up a loop. And then that loop that you pulled through, you just pull it through the loop that's already on your hook. That's a slip stitch, just in case you don't know what one is or haven't worked one before. So we're going to chain 3, skip the next stitch, and slip stitch in the next, all the way down for row 4. I finished up row 4 with a little lace edge, and it just gives us a nice little touch, finished look on the edge of the ruffle. Now, there are 2 ways that you can finish off. You can just tie off and weave in both your ends, or you can put the 2 ends together and make it into a circle cowl, which is what I'm going to do with this one. I have this terrible habit of losing scarves, and so if I make it into a circle cowl, then I won't lose it. So what you do is you just put the 2 ends together and make sure that you've checked to make sure that you haven't twisted your scarf. Then you put the 2 ends together and you just go through both ends and stitch single crochets. And I try to stitch them just a little bit loose so that it doesn't affect the ruffles. Just go through both, pull your stitch through, and kind of just make a loose single crochet, lining up your rows, and make sure that you go through stitches and not through holes. If you prefer just leaving it and not putting them together, just tie off your end and weave them in. I'm going to show you how to weave it in. I'm to the end here. I'm going to cut my yarn, leave me a good amount there to weave in. And whether you closed it off like I did, or it's just open, you're going to weave it in the same way. You're going to take your tail, put it in your needle, and just weave it in going one way. Make sure you go through a few stitches, and it's a good idea to try to go through some of the fibers of the yarn as well. Go one way, then turn around and go back another, and then you can cut that off. And now I need to weave in the other one. And I'm going to go the other direction. You can see I'm going through stitches and fibers of the yarn. And I like to go one way, then the other, and then turn around and go back the other way. I think I'm going to go down that little place I stitched there and clip that off. And that's the way it will look if you sew it together into a circle. If you didn't, you'll have 2 ends, of course. And that's how we make the chunky ruffle scarf that's perfect for any party or occasion.